Tonight, we witness a seismic event in the world economy for the first time. The United States is no longer the top trading nation in North America. Canada, long the junior partner, has quietly surged ahead, upending a century-old power dynamic. This isn't just about numbers, it's about pride, power, and the fragility of economic dominance. In the second quarter of 2025, Canada's total global trade volume edged past the U.S., a slim margin with massive symbolic weight. How did the world's largest economy get overtaken by a neighbor with a fraction of its population? The answer: a tangled web of political decisions, market forces, and a bitter dispute over aluminum. The crisis has exposed deep vulnerabilities in the American economic machine and raised urgent questions about the country's future. This shift affects everyone, from the price of your car to job security in factories and offices across the continent. To understand how we arrived at this turning point, we must look beyond headlines and trace the unraveling of a once unbreakable partnership. Let's examine the key moments where it all began to fracture. The U.S.-Canada economic relationship was once the envy of the world, built on trust, shared values, and deeply integrated supply chains. For decades, goods and capital flowed seamlessly across the border, supporting millions of jobs and lowering costs for consumers. Our economies became so intertwined that a single car might cross the border multiple times during assembly. But beneath the harmony, disputes over lumber, dairy, and other commodities simmered, usually resolved through compromise. The North American Free Trade Agreement further cemented this bond, creating a free trade zone that powered prosperity. Yet, in recent years, a new era of U.S. economic nationalism shifted the tone. America First policies replaced consensus, turning partnership into confrontation. The renegotiation of NAFTA into the USMCA was fraught with tension, especially over tariffs. This set the stage for the aluminum conflict that would shatter decades of cooperation. The unthinkable was about to become reality. Aluminum is more than a metal. It's a strategic asset, vital to everything from fighter jets to soda cans. Canada, with its vast hydroelectric power, became a leader in aluminum smelting, while the U.S. turned that metal into finished goods. This cross-border supply chain was efficient and secure, benefiting both nations. For years, Canadian aluminum flowed south tariff-free, seen as part of a shared North American industrial base. The idea of tariffs on Canadian aluminum was once unthinkable. That changed in 2018, when the Trump administration imposed sweeping tariffs, citing national security. Canada was eventually included, sending shockwaves through the industry and treating a trusted ally as a foreign adversary. This single act planted the seeds of crisis, unraveling a century of cooperation. The consequences would soon be felt on both sides of the border. The crisis escalated in late 2024, when the U.S. reinstated and increased tariffs on Canadian aluminum, claiming a surge in imports. Prime Minister Trudeau condemned the move and vowed swift retaliation. But this time, Canada didn't just retaliate with tariffs, it launched a global trade offensive. New trade deals with Asia and South America were fast-tracked, and incentives lured international companies to Canada. Canada positioned itself as a stable gateway to North America, free from U.S. trade volatility. Foreign investment into Canada surged, while the U.S. saw a decline. Major manufacturers rerouted supply chains through Canadian ports, which reported record cargo volumes. The tipping point came in July 2025 when the WTO confirmed Canada's trade volume had surpassed the U.S. for the first time. The aluminum crisis was the catalyst, but deeper issues were at play. U.S. tariffs meant to protect industry backfired, raising costs and making American products less competitive. Canada, forced to diversify, built new alliances and thrived. As one Canadian official put it, "The tariffs forced us to build new bridges to the world." America's loss became Canada's opportunity. The fallout is real and local. In the U.S., industries relying on Canadian aluminum, automakers, aerospace, beverage manufacturers, face soaring costs and supply chain chaos. Tariffs meant to help have become a heavy burden, putting over 90,000 American jobs at risk. Factory floors in the Rust Belt are quieter, and small businesses struggle to survive. Some companies are even considering moving operations to Canada for stability. Meanwhile, Canada is experiencing a boom in logistics, tech, and advanced manufacturing, fueled by foreign investment. But the success is fragile. Canada's economy is still linked to the U.S., and any slowdown south of the border will have ripple effects. The social fabric is strained on both sides. Border communities feel uncertainty and division, as friendships and business ties are tested by distant political decisions. In Canada, pride in their new status is tempered by regret over the fractured relationship. This is more than an economic dispute, it's a family feud with global consequences. The question now, can either side adapt before the damage becomes permanent? The stakes have never been higher. The political fallout in Washington is fierce. The administration faces criticism from all sides. Democrats call the trade figures proof of failed policy, while Republicans are split between free market and protectionist camps. Former President Trump seizes the moment, blaming current leaders for losing to Canada and demanding even tougher measures. The result, political paralysis, with no clear solutions in sight. Public anxiety is rising. Polls show the economy is once again Americans' top concern. The idea of Canada as an economic rival is deeply unsettling, challenging the belief in American exceptionalism. The crisis is forcing a national conversation. Is free trade still valid, or is protectionism the new reality? The debate is bitter, unity is lacking, and the nation seems to be turning inward as a key competitor pulls ahead. America's sense of identity and leadership is at stake. The world is watching to see how the U.S. responds. The next moves will shape the future of global trade. To understand this crisis, we turn to Dr. Evelyn Reed, economist at the Peterson Institute and expert on North American trade. Dr. Reed says the crisis was predictable, a classic case of policy backfiring. The tariffs were designed with a 20th century mindset, she explains, but today, our economies are deeply integrated networks. Imposing tariffs on Canadian aluminum, she says, is like a car company taxing its own engine plant. You're not punishing a competitor, you're raising your own costs and hurting your own industry. Canada's response, Reed argues, was a masterstroke. They used U.S. protectionism as a marketing tool, presenting themselves as the stable, business-friendly hub in North America. Global capital fled U.S. uncertainty and found a new home in Canada. Even if tariffs are removed, Reed warns, the damage is done. Trust is the most valuable currency in international relations, and it's been severely damaged. Investors who rerouted supply chains to Canada won't switch back overnight. The U.S. must prove it's a reliable partner again, something that will take years of consistent policy and diplomacy. This isn't a switch you can just flip back on, Reed concludes. The road to recovery will be long and difficult. Where does the U.S. go from here? The first step, experts agree, is to repeal the aluminum tariffs, relieving pressure on manufacturers and signaling a return to cooperation. But removing tariffs isn't enough. Trust must be rebuilt through serious negotiations and a renewed commitment to fair trade. The U.S. must reaffirm its role in the rules-based international order and move away from confrontation. Domestically, the crisis has exposed real vulnerabilities. America must invest in education, innovation, and infrastructure to compete in the 21st century. This is not about building walls, but about strengthening the foundations of prosperity. The choice is clear: adapt and innovate, or risk a long decline. Leadership must rise above partisanship to forge a new consensus on trade. The challenge is immense, but America's history is one of overcoming adversity. We end with a new reality. Canada has surpassed the U.S. in global trade, the result of a self-inflicted wound. This is not just a Canadian success, but an American misstep that has shaken the nation's economy and identity. The path forward demands humility, honest assessment, and a renewed spirit of partnership. Rebuilding relationships and investing in competitiveness are essential. This is a test of American resilience and adaptability. Will the U.S. retreat into blame, or rise to reclaim its leadership? The world is watching, and the next steps will echo for decades. Join the conversation. What should America do next?